Good morning. Sorry, I had some trouble getting my phone to have the right orientation. It was trying to make me turn to the side and it was driving me crazy. So let me show you where we're going today. And hopefully this won't take too long, but this is kind of the idea that we're going for. Can you see that? So you can embellish it as much as you want. We're going to simplify it and take it step by step. Good morning. I see lots of people joining now. Hi, you guys. I'm so excited to see you. You make my Friday. I just, I keep mentioning there's lots of people here. My husband is here. I've got some of the kids here, but it's kind of fun to be able to share with people who have your common interest and everything else. So let's talk about what is the hardest part of this design. I think the hardest part of a bell is the outline. Ruth Ann, I'm so glad you were able to join live. Yay! So I think that this shape can be really difficult. And let me see if I have my earlier one. Here, I'll show you. This is my earlier one. Not so good, huh? Looks so wonky. I didn't like it. It was driving me crazy. So the key to making your bell look good, I think, my own opinion, is this part right here can't be too curvy. It has to be more gradual. So let me show you this one. So the line here needs to be somewhat flat, so it's not curving back in. Now, you can make it however you want. I'm not in charge of you. You can do whatever you want to do. But I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to show you a little secret. So, quilters, we need good secrets, right? We need good hints. Look! I made a template. And I'm going to show you why this is so cool. It can be very, very helpful to helping you get the symmetry that you want to have. So let's say that our bell, in fact, let's make a little mark on it so you can see it better. We'll say that this is the center of our bell, right? And we want it to be, centered somewhere. Let's just say that we have some kind of border and we want the bell orientation to be there. This way, I can line up the tip of this bell and I could make it orient however I wanted. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and I'll do the shape. And I guess I didn't answer the question like, well, how did I make the template, right? You can draw it. Or you can cheat more. And I just copied it, right? I just printed off a free coloring sheet and then I put it into PowerPoint and I sized it the size that I wanted. And if it's an image, the way you can size it is put a square around it and group them together and then make the square the size that you want. I'm out of the shot. Okay. Well, hopefully this is better. This is just right now, we're just making the shape right here. And what I was saying is in PowerPoint, you could go ahead and size this. If you had a specific area for your quilt that you're trying to fill with the bell, you could literally take your template and size it to fill up that space. And this wasn't really hard. I just used water-soluble glue stick and I just pasted it onto some cardstock that I have. You can even use mailers, type of thing. You don't have to use some fancy paper. You can just get anything that's a little stiff. And then that just allowed me to draw around it. So let's go ahead and I'll show you that. Now I'm going to add a little bit to this really quick. I'm going to add one more bell and we want the bells to be connected here at the top. So I would be using that. And if I didn't want it to go up here, I could adjust it. I could play with it, whatever I wanted. Here, we're going to make this part cut off anyway. I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, we just want it to show up a little bit, so we'll make it a little dark. Okay, so now I have two bells ringing, and let's add one more piece. Okay, so let's show you on this picture. Can you see how wonky this is? Something about proportionality is always really challenging, and one of the ways that you can make sure that things are proportionate is you can put a boundary line to make sure that it does what you want. So I decided what size I wanted my bell to be, and I made a boundary. So if I wanted this to be sort of centered on there, I could center it. If I don't care, I could put it however I wanted. So we'll kind of vaguely center it. And we do want to cut into the bells a little bit because this part is going to be on the top. So we'll just make this as the boundary. And what that does is that gives us some visual proportionality. So right off the top, we know that one side of the bow is not going to be bigger because we're going to center our bow in the middle. And the way that we're going to do it is there'll be like a little square, kind of right there, a little roundy square. That's the center of the bow. And when we stretch the bow out, we're going to go like that. We're going to make a loop to the corner, and then this will come down and in. So that's the bow. And then we'll travel around our little guy to the top, and we'll make the top loop. And you're always going to come back on the bottom. What happens here is as we go out and around, that's a really smooth line, and we're just going to quickly follow it up. So our brain can remember this shape for a few seconds. So this is the easiest way to get back out here. We'll have a gentle curve and we'll put our bow in. So what that does is this helps to make the bow the right size because we already pre-sized it. And then we can also, if we wanted a really big bow or whatever, that's up to you. You can do that. And that'll help put this right in sort of the middle of our design since our design is kind of bounded there. All right, so let's do one more thing. Let's do a little bit more development. I don't want to put too many lines on here because it'll get kind of messy, but we're going to sew this, and when we come in here, we can make the bow and we'll travel down to the top of this right here. And we could maybe put like a little circle in there and like a little double circle for the bow. So then we'll travel down, and we're only going to do one bell first. Right down here, when we come around, we'll make this whole side, and we are going to put a circle, an oval in here, right? And we're going to make the circle, that's the bell, the, I don't know, what do you call that? The donger, the ringer. And we'll put some little motion lines in there and there. And now we can, once we're here, we can travel either way. We can come here and go across to start filling some fills in here, or you can just go back over here and travel up this way, whatever seems good to you. So that's how we're going to start out. Oh, that's a lot. I know. Sorry. Clacker. Thank you. All right, so let's start. We'll start right here in the middle. So was that complicated? We have two templates, and then we're just kind of thinking about the path. So the lesson for today, the big part of it is helping yourself by having some proportionality lines can be really helpful, because I'll be the first one to admit that when I just freehand this, it kind of goes awry, right? So this is vaguely a square, but it's kind of rounded a little bit. And don't worry if it's perfect. Remember what we said. So maybe do it 2 times that way, because we're going to travel around it a little bit more. And that's going to let me also go ahead and just trim these threads and try to get them out of my way. Make sure I don't cut my good threads. There we go. I just don't want them in my way. So here we're going to go around and back out, just like we said. Ready? So just try to make it smooth. It's kind of a skinny little loop. And here, just gently come right back out. Kind of want to go a little bit to that furthest point. And then we're just going to make a very gentle curve down to this corner and flow back in. Now, that's our first loop, and we're going to come over to the top because that's what we want to do. So we've already stitched a few times, so we have a nice, good visual reference. And we're going to go out to the corner and to the bottom, just like we said before. And that helps give us that proportionality. So just come back out, and then we'll just gently go into that corner and curve. So there's our bow so far. And I'm going to make a little half of a circle that's sort of into the loop and come down, and then we'll make another circle. And this is the ring that the bell is on. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of fudge that a little bit so that we can come back up. This part of this is into the bell, so we need to travel a little bit up to the top. Let me show you. Right here, we've got to travel on this because the top of the bell is behind the bow. So we don't want to pretend that it isn't. We want to keep that look right here. So now here we are, we're on the bell. And now we can just start coming down. And don't worry if you're on the line perfectly, it's okay. We want to round this out a little bit. So let's just round it nice. Nice, easy rhythm. I think that this next part is the hardest part right here. Make it round. You're going to push this directly that way because you want to try to get right back smoothly into that shape. Smooth it out right there. And it's okay if we have double stitch lines, don't worry. It's going to look great no matter what. I've already tried it. I've tested it for you. So nice big circle there. And when we get down to the bottom, let's just put some little motion lines in there. It can just be on one side or both sides, whatever is easiest for you. What that does is put a little definition there, and it adds a little motion. And we can have it on both sides or not. It's kind of like speed lines when you're driving, when you're creating like a bicycle or a car or something like that. It's like a speed line. And it's the idea that there's sound activity or there's wind or motion, something happening. So here we're going to come back up and then we'll come back down. So let's see if we can make sure we're in the line. We're right at the outer edge of that circle, which is great. That's right where we want. So we're just going to come out a little bit and gently follow the line back up to there. And I want to fill from the bottom. If you want to fill from the top, you could totally do that. It's up to you. I like to fill from the bottom just because I'm more comfortable that way. So let's start working on the fills. I'll just come down here slowly, try to stay in my line. Don't worry if you don't, it's okay. Now, let's start designing what's going to go in the bell. So the first thing is I want to have a little space. So I'm going to just put a vague curvy line right there. So let me show you some of the ideas that I was playing with. So you need sort of a band on the bell, and that's the flange. And so I made this first arc, and then we're going to put a space and we'll put the little triangles in there. So let's make our flange a little bit narrower. I think it's too wide. You could even use your foot as a spacer. The reason that I put this line here is this is going to kind of help me keep this shape. So I need sort of a visual. I'm visual, and that's going to help me sort of keep that little bit of that shape in there. All right, now we're going to do our little triangles. I love this. So we need a little bit of height for that. And we're going to just put some little tick marks. Let's make some smaller lines. These are kind of fat. I'm going to put 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And I'm just going to come up a tiny bit. I don't want to be right there at the bottom. And I'm just going to come up to there and come down. It doesn't matter if they're perfect or they're not perfect. I don't care. And they don't even have to come all the way over. If you don't make this one match, just come down as if you're coming off the edge, right? So like this one, we could have just made him come like that. It's okay. if they're wonky. We're going to fix that in just a little bit. Here, let's close them. We got our little arc that we have, so we're just going to close them. We'll put the fill in after because it's kind of a jump stitch fill. And then just come up a few stitches, and then we'll just put a little line. You kind of need to be able to see where you're going. So if you have an open toe foot, that might be helpful. Oh, goodness sakes, what just happened? My thread just had a little hiccup. Look at that. I don't know what happened. Oh, whenever this happens, it seems like it pulls out. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Oh, you know this happens all the time to all of us, right? So let's just cut these little guys and get them out of here, because otherwise they'll be a pain. And we'll rethread really fast. That was easy. See, we got so good at it over time, right? So here we can pick up our thread right where we were. Hopefully we can get that bobbin thread up. Oh, darn it. He's not detached. Now he is. There we go. Always got to clip that bobbin thread, otherwise he gets to be a pain. So I'm lining it up. Just like bonbon time, we'll just tack stitch it. We'll put a few extra in there just to get us going. And then we'll just come back over to this side. So just kind of smoothly. Now, if this is tricky for you to make this smooth, do this. Just make it wiggly. If you can't make like this arc smooth, then just go like this. It'll look equally good and it'll look like you got some motion going on. So let's cut this and we'll do the next one. So the next space, let's see what's on our little list. We can do some, let's come up a little bit. This is a little curve. As you come out, you're just going to put the next one in. I think I can fit maybe 5 in there. If you're worried about spacing, go ahead and mark it off. Mark, little boxes so that you can know what your size is. So let me show you right here. I think this looks really cute and we want to emphasize this. So one of the things that we can do to emphasize it and make more of that is we can just echo it like this. So you're just coming down into the dip, and let's do one more echo just for fun. Okay, what do you think? So far, so good? So here at the top of the bell, we're going to put a little bit of an emphasis here that emphasizes this shape. So we kind of need to come back up in order to do it. So we'll just track our line. And this is where it's connected. This is sort of the middle of the bell. So let's do this. Let's just put a little arc line. And another one. And then we'll go this way. And we'll go this way. And we'll sort of just do one more off of the edge. So I'll turn it over when we're all done so you can see it. So now we have one more bell that we need to do. And let me show you something that I wanted to do. I think this will look good. We'll see what happens. I'm just going to scoot over a tiny bit. And I'm going to put a little sort of a 3-dimensional shadow right here. But I won't go all the way down. I'm going to grade it so I can come down. So that has 2 functions. It's going to separate these designs so they don't butt right up to each other. Let's see if I have my picture of that. Oh, where did that one go? Hang on just a second. Let me grab it. All right, sorry. As we were playing, so one of them, if you do it like this, you'll see that this line right here, see how they kind of have the mashup right here. I didn't really like that. I felt like it didn't allow each of the bells to have their own definition and sort of stand on their own. And so I wanted to just put that little three-dimensional shadow that captures right here. And let me show you what it looks like. So it's going to be kind of like that, right? You'll get just a little shadow. And it's not going to be quite like this because ours touch more. It's going to come down together. So I like that. So on this one, we'll do the wiggle flange right here. We'll put that on the flange, and that'll be our first one. So again, this is the tricky part, right? This is the oval right there, right? As this comes around right here, this is where you're going to put your oval in right there. So we'll start looking for that as we come around. Nice and smooth here. And then just start your oval. Now let's talk about the clacker. Thank you, Sandy. If the bell gravity has this clacker on this side, do you think it is logical that gravity would have this clacker on this side? I don't think so, right? Because they're going to be swinging the same direction. So we need to put our clacker on the other side. So let's go ahead and we'll go around. That'll give us this definition here. This is really good practice. Anytime that you have the ability to overstitch, do it, do it, do it. It's just like anything. If you don't do it, you cannot get better. So let's put our little oval in there, put our clacker in there. And the reason I like to kind of do this is I want to see the size, like how big is it, and if there's enough space. It also tells me here about where I want to stop, right? So that I can start putting my circle in. And if you can't put a nice pretty circle, put a spiral in there, right? Nobody's going to care. You're in charge. So maybe we'll do the speed lines on the top this time. The speed lines are great too because they help you if you're not really circular. They just kind of blur the lines. All right, so let's come back out here to our edge and we're going to put in the rest of this. Let's make sure you can see, right? So this is where we are. We're on the outside and we'll finish up our bell. And right there, we're in the bow, so we don't want to be crazy. And let's show you something else. Right up here at the bow, I'm going to come up just a little bit. Let's say that we want to have tails on our bow, right? So let's just make a wonky line, a little curve, and we want him to flange out. And we'll put a triangle, and then we'll come back in. That brings us down here a little bit, so we don't have as far to travel when we want to do our fill. And that way we don't have to echo quite as far. So here's where we're going to do our first one. Okay, and this will be that wiggle, so you can just kind of start wiggling. And here's the key on this one. This is the space. It's kind of straightish. This curve is very shallow. So when you think about it, look at it as if this was the line. And what that'll do is that'll help you to fill this in more straight. So this is fingertips. Notice that I'm not really picking up my hand. I'm just using my fingertips to govern the fabric here because the motion is really small. If I use something more, if I use all of this, it's harder to make this little tiny turn right there because it's so small. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to our next one. Let's come up a little bit. So I'm going to use about the foot width, and notice how we're getting a little angle here. So to kind of keep us along our angle, we're like this. We're kind of going like this. So let's put some little circles in there. I love pebbles, you know I do. So this is going to help you have them in the center. And you can even grade them a little bit in terms of size to fit into that little channel that you made, because it kind of shows that they're further away on that inside area. When you get down to the end, this needs to go off of the edge, so don't try to fit a baby one in there, just make it go off the edge. And that gets you out to the edge right there. Okay? So then let's see, what should we echo that one, do you think? Sure, let's do that. So put little bumps in there. A little speed is good. And we'll do one more. Okay, and then let's come up. We'll make sort of a curvy line there. And another one. And here let's make one more row. I think we have enough for a little row. So we'll make a little row like that. And let's just put some sharp triangles. So we have to come up a little bit here, like this. And don't try to force it, just make the last part come up as a partial, right? And then let's close this and we'll make the top of the bell. We'll put some lines in there that will help give definition to the top of the bell. So we're trying to sort of touch the tops of that. And then we'll just use this as the travel line and we'll just echo this right here. All right, so here's a couple things that we're missing. We don't have our little echoes in here, and we don't have the edge of our ribbon on the other side. So I could travel or I cannot. I think that's a long way to go, so I think I'm just going to tack this here. We'll pick up the needle, and these are all going to be individual. We're going to make them so they don't connect, so we're just going to make little triangles in there. So rather than try to force anything in there, I'm just going to stick it in there. So here, when we make the triangle, let's make the bottom curvy. That'll help us not have to worry about if it is perfect. And then we'll scoot over. And you can move the needle up, you know, as deep as you want, whatever you want to do. Straight line, curve, and tack it. Jump. Straight line, curve, and back up to the top. Jump. And this one's going to be a little wonkier, but that's okay. We'll still do it. Make this jump bigger. That'll kind of fill him in so he doesn't look so wonky. And maybe one more stitch there. Oh, my machine's talking to me. All right, so let's think about where we want our ribbon to come down. Maybe right there, flange, and a little triangle. And we'll make this one come back in to create a little more fullness right there. Right, we won't make him pointy. See how we did it on this one? If we had done that, I think it would look better. It would give some more definition there. So we'll do that on this side. So right here is the closest. You don't want your stitch, your jump stitch, to travel a really long way. You want the shortest distance possible. So we'll stick him right there and we'll tack him in. And here we go. And you can always embellish this too right here, like if you wanted to put some little lines in there. You can do that as well. Create a little motion. All right, let's tack it off and let's see how we did. Let's cut some of these babies so we can see, and we'll flip it over too. I think the chalk makes it messy, so it's always hard to see, but we'll flip it over for you. We had snow yesterday, you guys. It's so rare here, but we actually have snow still on the ground from our last snow. So let's see, right there, what is that? Oh, I think I just went over. Can you see right there? This is the top of this right here. So I don't know, is that outside of our bell? I don't know, I'll have to look at that. But doesn't that look so awesome? What do you think? Let's flip it, ready? Hopefully it looks awesome. It does. It looks so good. Let's get these out of here. It will look even better on black, right? Let's get you a wide angle view so we can pull this up a little bit. Let's see, we'll have to come out in order to get the camera out. Nancy Ferguson, I'm going to answer your question. Let me show you. This chalk is so flexible. You can take a piece of batting and it'll just come right off like that. You can also use a lint roller. I would probably work on it just a little bit more to get it off, but I mean, look at that, right? Pretty awesome. Comes right off. So this is the Bohing chalk pencil. And you know, you guys, I don't profess to be the perfect quilter, okay? I just want to have fun. And I think that the lessons for today were you can always make a template to help you. You can always add some proportionality by scaling different pieces and just making a sketch box in order to help bind it. So I think that helps, you know, with this bell, helped me to make sure that he was the appropriate size, which is great. And having the template and having that center mark, make sure that these two bells are proportionate. And let me show you one of the, like this bell that I made on this one. I like that this one is actually kind of long and skinny. And let me show you one of the other ones that I have. Oh, well, I guess he's not here, but he's like a trumpet lily, one of those trumpet flowers. It's a really long bell with a skinny base. So there's infinite variety available. So you can change it up however you want. What is the double circle? Okay, so the double circle, let's show you. If you have a bell, here I'm going to use my awesome template, right? How is the bow connected in order to hold on to these bells, right? Right? There has to be something for them to hold on to. So that's what these are, this double circle. Maybe this should come down over that. I did not do that, but maybe that's a good idea. Maybe that should be part of the bow, right? Because the bell itself, if it's metal or whatever, even if it's anything, the bow has to be able to attach to it, right? It can't just, I mean, it could freestand. You're the designer. You're in charge. But that's what the little circle. Betty Spence, my machine table is the fabulous Sew Steady Wish table, and I adore it. I love it. So you can see it's got a lot of room in the front right there. So it has about 9 inches right here in front of the needle, and then in the back, I don't know, it's got more than a foot. It's probably got 14 or 15 inches on the back of the machine. Let me show you. So like I can stick my arm, and that is all the way back there is the end of it. So it's really nice and big. And let's see if there's some other questions real quick. Yes, what a good idea, Nancy Price. A wedding bell. I did not make that connection, but that is a great idea. And then if you wanted to do some little, when you do your fills, you could make little hearts And instead of maybe making this, maybe you could make some interlocking hearts right there. Or maybe your little clackers would be hearts. Oh, that's such a good idea. Oh, my brain is whirring. Okay, let's see. Musical notes. Good idea. You guys have lots of great ideas. Barbara, thank you for your compliment. You know, I get as much out of this as you do. I feel like you guys push me to be inventive. I mean, I do think it is a positive thing for both of us. It's not like I'm just out here spouting off, I hope. But I feel like, you know, you challenge me to think about, well, how can I break this down? How can I make it easier? How can I make it repeatable for somebody else? And I think that anytime you can do that, you can also improve your own skills. So I'm really appreciative of that as well. You know what's funny, you guys? I don't think for the first 15 years that I was quilting, I didn't think of myself as an artist. I was a bookish kid, and my mom, you know, never imagined that I would be anything but like science-y and stuff like that. And then I went into the military, and I remember I got a sewing machine as a wedding present. And truthfully, I remember thinking, what in the heck am I going to do with that? You know, I did not know how to sew, and they gave me a sewing machine and no manual either. And I remember just thinking, oh, this is so useless, but I took it. And it had, you know, a seam ripper in it, and the seam ripper was secondhand, you know, it was gifted by my aunties, you know, it wasn't new or anything. And I remember the first time my friend gave me a new seam ripper, and I was like, this cuts really well. But, you know, it's that process of finding out who you are. I didn't know that I was artistic, and so I feel like I'm still on that journey, just like all of us is. We're all getting better, and we're all wanting to improve our skills and make our designs prettier. So let's see. Let's kind of scroll down, make sure we got, if there's any more questions. Yeah, you know, and the bells are so versatile, because if you made like a really big bell and you had some lines, and you could make some of these lines with a ruler. Like if you wanted to make these arcs, you know, more symmetrical, you could make them with a ruler and create spaced areas, and they allow you to have a little fill space, not infinity, but you could practice a fill here and another fill and a different fill. And then you could even you know, do just the bell shape and do a bias facing on it, and then you could just have the bells, or you could applique them onto something else. Your head may explode. My head's exploding too, Patsy. Oh, you guys are so fun. Anyway, Nana, I will answer your question. I do have a Janome, and I'm going to comment on that. So I feel very fortunate to be working in the industry and have, you know, connections. And when I started working on my Janome 9450, I do really like it. It is a great machine. I won't say anything bad about it. I feel very fortunate to have it. But also recognize that not everybody can just go out and buy a big fancy sewing machine if they want to. Many people can sew amazingly on the machines that you have. And my advice on that is, if your machine is not working well for you, if sewing is more frustration than it is fun and creative, then maybe that is the time that you would want to look at another machine. Every one of these sewing machines was designed by some team, and that team thinks a certain way. Maybe they don't think like you do. Maybe they do. And that's why it is really important to try out many different machines, because some might seem more intuitive to how you think, and others might be very frustrating because those people don't think like you do. It's not just that a sewing machine is a sewing machine. It's a collective entity created by some team of thinkers that want to give the sewers what they want, but maybe they're engineers, maybe they're not sewers, or maybe they have some sewers and some engineers. So you definitely want to find the sewing machine that thinks like you do and that seems really comfortable and intuitive and not frustrating. The machines that are out on the market today are so amazing. They have so many great features, but they're all a little different and one might fit you better. So definitely test them out and find what works for you. That's a little bit of I'm not paid to say that. Can you tell? I would get in trouble if I was paid to say that. Okay, well, I won't keep you on too long. Any last questions really quick? Jill, I will tell you, I really like my needle threader. My first 2 machines that I had did not have a needle threader. I love it. In Freemotion, I'm not using the scissor button very much, but for piecing, I do like the scissors. It took me a long time to get used to the presser foot up-down button because I had always used the handle. And I really, really love my knee lift now that I'm really attuned to it. I mean, I had to force myself to use it initially, but as a free motioner and a ruler work girl, having your hands free, I really think a knee lift is the way to go if you can retrain yourself. So those are some features that I really like. But you would want to decide what is an important feature for yourself. Oh, Susan, I'm glad you like the bow. I think scalability is really important, and I felt like I couldn't make my bow the way I wanted it. It kept being wonky-do, and I hated it. It just felt like the bow was like a sad little Charlie Brown bow, you know? And having that box was really useful for helping me to get the scalability. And it doesn't mean that the one can't be slightly bigger. I think that natural variation of you just use sewing gives you that variation that would be normal because, you know, when we tie a bow, it may not be exactly perfect, but having it at least a little proportional scalability, I think is really good. Okay, you guys, well, I don't see many questions. Oh, the pencil marker thingy, I want one. Okay, let me show you that. So this is the Boheen chalk pencil, and let me grab my refill pack because I want to show you that too. Oh, it's lost. Okay, I found it. So somebody asked me the other day, do I sharpen this? I really don't bother. I don't sharpen it very often because I'm not using this for a fine line. And it doesn't stay fine. It's too much work. If I need a fine mark, I like to use something like mechanical chalk like that to give me a really fine line. This is going to be for fat, imprecise marking at best. It does have an eraser. You can tell I've used the tar out of mine and it's gone now. But I don't bother. I just use either a piece of batting. I use my lint roller. It's a sticky roller. Or I just use a piece of fabric and I just rub on it and it comes off. So it's pretty easy. These are the refill packages. It's going to come with these long chalks like that. And I put a little piece of felt in there or something like that because if they move around, they can break. And then there are ones that are colored also. I don't like those. Just so you know, that's why this package is full. This is my 3rd white. But I feel like these may be a little harder to get off, but the white is bomb. I love it. And so I use... You guys have seen me, you know, for a long time. I use white chalk almost exclusively. I don't like the liquid chalk pen. I have used that on something and it was on there for a while and I just could not get it off. So that was a no-no. And I use the Air Erase. There's a couple of different brands. This one is by Collins, but I think Dritz makes it now. And that's pretty commonly available. I like this one. I like the Styla rollerball. That's this one. It's by Soline. So Soline is an Australian company, so I've had trouble getting these lately with COVID, but it has a roller ball and they have this with the blue ink or the Air Erase. And I really like how smoothly and what a fine line that this makes. So if I can get some of these, I might buy 10 of them. Just keep them in stock. Okay. So Boheen, B-O-H-I-N. And I've also seen there are other ones that are not made by Boheen, but they look exactly the same like this. So you might find it somewhere else. I think somebody told me they maybe found it at Joann's. But try to support your local quilt store or you won't have one. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I would just keep talking forever because I'm alone at home today. But we'll see you on Sunday. I don't know what I'm doing as per usual. I've had several classes this week and we've been getting ready for our move. So it's a little complicated, but we'll see you on Sunday and hopefully have something awesome. And I want to punch my angel project, the Fabricate an Angel project. I have 6 really cute angels I've posted on the So Steady Facebook page on their post. And they all use different things to make their angel, different templates. So if you are a template girl, I want you to play with me. Make an angel and send it to me so we can have you enter our contest. You can win a Spin Effects number 13 at 11.5, which is a great, beautiful, big template that makes really pretty designs. And it's not about who's better than somebody else. It is, if you send in an entry, you are entered to participate in the drawing. And so if you send me your picture, I'll send you a number that tells you what entry number you are. Like if you're, I've got up to 6 right now. That way you can say, you know, I'm definitely in the drawing and I acknowledge that you've entered. And then on January 6th, we're going to draw by random the winner of that, and we'll publish all of the images of the angels and thank the participants for being there. So come on, play with me. All right. Okay, bye. Have a great day, you guys. Have a good weekend.